Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking into something pretty interesting. This whole idea of, can AI really, truly replicate human judgment, especially, in a field as complex as consulting?
Mm-hmm.
And to help us with that, we're going to be focusing on this startup, Perceptis AI. Well, they're trying to do just that.
Yeah.
And you've given us some really great stuff to work with, including a really in-depth article all about Perceptis AI
Right.
and an interview with Yersultan Sapar, their co-founder and CTO.
Yeah, he's got quite a story, right? I
Yeah.
mean, from, engineer at Apple, working on motion sickness in vehicles to making that jump to co-founding a startup. It's pretty bold.
Yeah, and it makes you think about, what does it really take to make a move like that? I mean, obviously the timing has to be right,
Yeah,
but also having those strong relationships, that network,
for sure.
and then, being willing to take a risk.
Absolutely. But I think what's really fascinating here is that this isn't like your typical tech startup story,
Hmm.
This really brings up some bigger questions about what parts of consulting can you actually automate? And where do you still really need that human touch?
Yeah, because if we're talking about AI replicating judgment, consulting's it's a really interesting area to look at. So how does Perceptis AI even work? What problems are they trying to solve?
Well, they're really zeroed in on the parts of consulting business development that just aren't very efficient.
Okay.
So you think about all that time spent writing proposals, finding new leads, and all the follow-ups. It's a lot of work, but it doesn't necessarily need the kind of nuanced judgment you usually associate with senior consultants.
And from the article, it sounds like they're using AI to try and, well, maybe even automate some of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And their big thing is they claim they can make a totally customized proposal in just 24 hours.
24 hours, that's pretty fast.
It is, and it's intentional, too.
Okay.
I mean, their AI can actually make a proposal even faster, but they build in this step where a human reviews it.
So it's not just about speed, they're making sure the quality is there.
Right, they want to make sure it meets the standards of the consulting world.
That makes sense.
And what's even cooler is that they use that human feedback to train the AI.
Oh, wow.
So each review makes the AI a little bit smarter. So in theory, over time, you need less and less human intervention.
Okay, now I'm really interested in the technical stuff here. What's going on behind the scenes? What kind of AI are we talking about?
Well, your Sultan calls it an orchestra of AI models and systems.
Oh, wow.
So they're using these powerful foundation models like GPT 3.5 and GPT 4,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're going even further than that.
How so? What do you mean by further?
Well, even though these foundation models are pretty impressive, they don't really have what you'd call consulting judgment.
Okay, yeah.
They can write text and follow patterns, but they don't deeply understand industry stuff, like client needs, strategic thinking, the stuff a real consultant knows.
So how do they make up for that?
They're building this synthetic training data based on actual proposals and feedback from experts.
Interesting.
So they're trying to capture what makes a proposal successful and translate that for the AI to learn from.
So they're basically teaching the AI to think like a consultant.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then it makes you wonder, what are the limits?
Right.
How far can they really go with, replicating human judgment?
That's a key question we'll have to keep in mind as we keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it points to a bigger thing about the role of AI in work in general.
Yeah.
Are we just automating tasks, or are we actually changing what these professions are all about?
Okay, so we've got this AI, it's crunching data, writing proposals, learning from humans. But let's think about your Sultan for a minute. Going from Apple to a startup, that must have been a pretty big change.
It was?
What were some of the big differences he talked about?
One of the biggest was just the speed of everything, how fast things moved.
Okay.
At Apple, he was in this huge, structured organization,
Mm-hmm.
tons of resources, very careful about how they developed products.
Right, right.
And startups are, well, they're known for being a little more, chaotic.
Yeah.
And your Sultan described Perceptis as fast-paced, unpredictable. You have to be ready to adapt all the time.
So he traded stability for agility.
Yeah.
But he probably also got a lot more responsibility, a chance to really shape the company.
Exactly. And that seems to be something that he really likes. He talks about how it's important to connect the engineering stuff with the business goals.
Okay.
He wants his engineers to understand the why behind their work.
That makes sense. In a startup, everyone needs to be invested in the big picture. It's not just about coding.
Right, exactly. It's about building the company.
Did he mention anything about how he hires people?
He did. He emphasized finding people who care.
People who care.
Yeah, so not just skilled, but also adaptable. They take ownership. They believe in the company's vision.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks having the right people is absolutely key to keeping their culture as they grow.
So it sounds like he's really thinking about how to scale the company, how to keep that initial spark.
Yeah, I think a lot of startups struggle with that. How to keep everyone on the same page and keep things moving fast as you get bigger.
Okay, so we've talked about the technology, the founder, the challenges of building a startup like this, but let's go back to that big question.
Yeah.
Can AI really truly replicate human judgment in consulting?
I mean, from what we've seen with Perceptis, it seems like they're making some pretty impressive progress,
Yeah.
but it's still early.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would say that some parts of consulting, like building those relationships with clients, dealing with tough negotiations, you'll always need a human for that.
That's a good point. And as we go deeper, we'll need to really examine those nuances.
So stay tuned because we're going to get into the potential impact of Perceptus on the whole industry, the ethical stuff, even the bigger society implications of all this. We'll be right back after a quick break.
All right.
We've been talking about how Perceptus is using AI to kind of handle those, more routine parts of consulting.
Yeah,
But what about the bigger picture? Like, could this actually change the whole industry?
I think it could, yeah. Like, imagine consultants who don't have to spend all that time on proposals and finding leads.
Mm-hmm.
They could focus more on strategy, on the relationships with clients, the stuff that really needs a human touch.
So it's not about like replacing consultants, but maybe changing what they spend their time on.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like we were talking about a whole new kind of consultant.
And would that change what skills you need to be successful in consulting?
It definitely would. Yeah, if AI is doing the data stuff and writing the proposals, then what do human consultants need to be good at?
Yeah. What becomes essential?
Well, I think it becomes really important to be able to understand what the AI is telling you,
Mm-hmm.
see if there's any bias in the data, and then communicate all that to the clients.
So it's not just about spreadsheets anymore. It's about understanding this whole new world where AI is like your partner.
Exactly. Yeah. And that partnership brings up some interesting questions.
Like what?
Well, could AI make consulting more fair?
Hmm.
Could smaller firms or even individual consultants be more competitive if they can use AI to do things that used to need like a whole team?
That's a really interesting thought. It could like shake things up in the industry, but we can't forget about the human side of consulting, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like building trust, understanding what the client really needs, handling those tricky situations. Those are things AI isn't so good at.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's where the debate gets really interesting. Yeah. Can AI ever really understand those subtle parts of human interaction?
Hmm.
Or will there always be a need for a human consultant to build those relationships and be there for the client?
I mean, from what we've seen so far, Perceptus is definitely focused on the things AI is good at: analyzing, synthesizing, creating output.
Right.
But they also know that humans are still important, especially now while everything's changing so fast.
And that's what their 24-hour proposal process is so interesting. It shows they're not trying to let the AI take over completely,
Right.
at least not yet. They know that human judgment is still needed for quality control,
Yeah.
making sure the AI is meeting the specific needs of the consulting world.
It also seems like they're using that human feedback to constantly improve the AI, right?
Yes, exactly.
Each review helps the system get better at being like a human, but how do you even measure something like judgment?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the sources we have don't really give us a lot of details on that.
Oh, okay.
We know they look at client satisfaction, how many proposals they win, and what the human reviewers say. But it would be really cool to learn more about how they do it.
Yeah, for sure. And as this technology keeps developing, it makes you think about the future of consulting even more.
Hmm.
Could AI eventually make those perfect proposals without any human help at all?
Yeah, and if it could, what would that mean for consultants? How would firms change? Would you even need the same kind of education to become a consultant? Those are questions the whole industry is going to have to face, and they're important beyond consulting too.
Yeah, that's true.
This is really about how humans and machines work together in all kinds of jobs.
Right. If AI can do things that used to need a lot of training and expertise, it changes how we think about education, about what it even means to be an expert.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
As we get into the last part of our deep dive, we're going to look at some of those bigger questions about society.
Okay.
What happens to the value of human expertise when AI is always learning and getting better?
Mm-hmm.
how do we prepare for a world where working with AI is just normal?
We've spent some time now looking at how Perceptis AI is using AI to kind of tackle these problems in consulting.
Hmm.
But let's zoom out a little. What does this tell us about the bigger picture, like the future of work?
Well, it's a really good example of something we're seeing everywhere. AI is taking on jobs that, people used to think only humans could do.
Right, right.
And of course, that makes people wonder, like, what's the point of human expertise if machines are just going to keep getting smarter?
Yeah, you always hear about AI taking jobs.
Right.
But maybe we should be thinking about how we adapt and change along with the technology. Like, if AI can do the boring stuff, what does that free us up to do?
Exactly. And that's what's interesting about Perceptis. Their approach is like, okay, AI can handle this stuff, so now human consultants can focus on the things AI is bad at.
Like what?
Well, strategic thinking, creative problem solving, building those real relationships with clients. Those are the things that become even more important when AI can take care of the rest.
It's like AI is almost making us, more human.
Yeah, I like that. It's making us focus on the things that make us different from machines.
And then that brings up another question, right?
Hmm.
How do we get ready for that? How do we learn the skills we'll need to work in a world where AI is like everywhere?
It means education and training have to change. It's not just about technical stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's about critical thinking, being adaptable, understanding what the AI is saying. It's about knowing how to work with AI, knowing what it's good at and what it's not.
And that's not just for individuals, it's for whole industries, right?
Yeah, I mean, if consulting firms are getting smaller, more specialized, relying on AI, how does that change how they hire people, train them, even how their teams work?
It seems like there are so many new challenges and opportunities, and it's all happening so fast.
Yeah, it is.
And even though Perceptus is just focused on consulting, these are things that are relevant to like pretty much any job that uses AI.
Exactly. This is a huge shift in how humans and machines work together.
Hmm,
And like with any new technology, there are going to be good things and bad things that come with it.
right.
The important thing is to be smart about it, be proactive, focus on helping people deal with these changes.
So what can we do like as individuals to get ready for this future?
Never stop learning. What's a hot skill today might be useless tomorrow.
Right.
Be willing to adapt, to try new things, to keep learning your whole career.
Don't just think about what you can do for AI. Think about what AI can do for you.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Can you use these tools to make yourself better, to free up time so you can focus on the things that really need your human skills?
And most importantly, I think, be curious. Keep learning about AI, what it means, what it can do.
Yeah.
The future isn't something that just happens to us. We make it through the choices we make.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Perceptis AI, I think the big takeaway is that this is about more than just, algorithms and robots. It's about how humans fit into this picture. It's about adapting, being resilient, and remembering that humans are really good at figuring things out. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Perceptis AI. We hope it's given you something to think about, maybe sparked your curiosity, and who knows, maybe even inspired you to learn a little bit more about this whole world of AI and what it means for the future of work.